cannot believe I'm sitting here in front of you. I mean, I grew up with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It is so wonderful having you. And I think this is basically like the first official interview we have from Mexico. So everybody is so excited. And the first question I want to ask you is, how can you explain the amazing connection that we all had with Sex and the City 25 years ago? Obviously, just like that, and we'll go into that in a second. But I mean, what was it? Men, women, boys, girls, it doesn't matter, you know, if who you were, we were into you guys.
I mean, I think that, you know, the show was the first show to really take the veil away and say, you know, we have this myth that's so outdated that single women just are looking to get married, end of story, you know, to anybody, anywhere, anytime. And what we showed were 4 women in the prime of their life with exciting careers, you know, brilliant, beautiful, you know, vivacious, and that they were really interested in sex, and they were interested in having sex with a lot of different men, but they weren't necessarily sitting by the phone waiting to, you know, for someone to call them up and, you know, hopefully propose. So I think that the show showed New York in all of its splendor, and it showed, you know, women, you know, fully immersed in the dating game, but it also showed this incredible female friendship, and that they were looking for a connection with a man, the kind of really deep, powerful connection that they had with each other.
But you know what also I think regarding Miranda specifically, I think that's the first time that I've consciously seen a woman on a screen that was very career oriented and battling, you know, from to a man and, you know, like working in a man's world, you as a lawyer. And I think that was, at least for me, and I think for many, many women out there, extremely empowering.
I completely agree with you. And I think that what was fun was Miranda knew who she was and what she wanted, and that she could compete with the big boys, and she could beat them at their game, and she could rise to the top, and she could fight for her equal salary and all that stuff. She had the brains, and she had the sharp elbows and the ambition, but that she wasn't so sure about other things like motherhood and marriage and, you know, a domestic life, a home life, but she came to that too. And I think it was wonderful to show that too, that her priority, at least what she thought was her priority, was being successful in her career, but that she was able to then, when the right person came along, or when this unexpected pregnancy came along, she was able to, you know, make herself grow, that she could encompass those things too.
Of course, things we've all been through. Now, and just like that, season 1, the biggest twist, and, you know, everything I do, the whole platform, we have a huge LGBT community and that we're very proud of, and that we talk to every single day on every outlet that we have. And seeing Miranda, I don't know if the right word is come out or, you know, take another turn in her love life, was extremely relieving for many, many women out there that maybe, you know, feel trapped in their, you know, monogamous, straight relationship with their husband, being a mother, and everything that entails. How much of you like decided that had to happen on the first season, and what's going to happen on the second?
Well, you know, Michael Patrick King, who's our, you know, executive producer and chief writer and director, and, you know, our boss, our creative boss, you know, we had a very quick conversation, he and I, before we started, you know, developing the show. And he said, should we have Miranda be gay or not? And I was like, well, why not? Do you know what I mean? We're trying to open up the show in every way, and you know, we're queer up the show and diversify the show, and you have this homegrown queer on the show already, on the old show. Why not just bring that into the fictional world as well.
Absolutely. Any message that you would love to give the LGBT community out there?
Well, it's Pride Month, which is always a very special time for our community and a time of incredible celebration. But, we're very aware also, especially in this country, the incredible attacks and lies, being promulgated about our community and particularly about the trans members of our community. And I think it's really important to stay strong and to stay united and to continue to come out and to continue to reveal ourselves, because prejudice and hatred that's directed at groups, that becomes exponentially harder when you actually know individuals who are in that group. And it's important to celebrate, to love each other, to love ourselves, but to come out to the people in your family, as hard as it may be, to come out to the people that you work with, that you worship with. And also, sometimes I think it's really important to have these representatives on television, because sometimes people who think they don't know any queer people, maybe they know somebody on television, and maybe that's a less scary way for them to open their mind and open their heart to who we are.
Of course. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you. Can't wait for season 2.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Great. The sweetest of them all. How are you, Kristin? You were the sweetest of them all, Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love Charlotte.
I was telling Cynthia and Sarah that it was amazing how everybody connected with Sex and the City, men, women. And, my friends and I were always saying, I'm Charlotte, I'm Carrie, I'm Samantha, I'm Cynthia. So who was Charlotte? Who is Charlotte?
Who is Charlotte? Oh, that's a big question. Charlotte is, Charlotte does everything 100%, right? So she's a really good friend, and wants to be a really good mom and a really good wife. And sometimes she struggles with control, right? She wants everything to be perfect.
I feel you. There's so much of Charlotte in me. I'm a control freak.
You look like a Charlotte. And I mean that in the best possible way. I love Charlotte for those reasons. I certainly relate to that, I think that's also like her, that could be when she kind of goes too far with her controlling elements. And you're going to see some of that this year, especially with her kids, because we all know you can't control your kids. So she's going to struggle a bit. And I think also she's going to get to a point where she wonders if maybe she needs more than just being a wife and a mother, which has been great for so long. But it's a big question for women. And I certainly relate myself.
Okay, I cannot wait to see, season 2, because after, Miranda's twist on season 1, like after what you just said, I'm just thinking, what could Charlotte possibly do that would be like so out of the box?
It won't be that far out of the box.
Exactly. That's what I think.
No, we're not going to do that with Charlotte. No.
But you know what? I feel that, in every character, it's like this specific type of person, of this specific type of woman. And it was, so liberating in so many ways to see us represented 25 years ago, from Miranda being, the tough, full-time working lawyer, and then, Sarah, and then Samantha, that was so sexually liberated. And then came Charlotte, which was, I would say, the most mainstream, looking to be a housewife. I remember that famous quote that I've always thought, who wrote that when you said,
I'm 15, I'm exhausted, where is he?
Who wrote that quote? That is amazing. Who wrote that quote?
I feel like one of our female writers wrote it, and I can't remember which one. It was maybe Jenny Bix? We had like 8 women writers at that point, and every storyline came from their lives. That was the rule, and it's still the rule. Like all of our storylines are based on our writers.
Yeah. So that was exactly, to quote you, I've been dating for 15 years. I'm exhausted. Where is he?
I know, very relatable, very relatable.
How much of Charlotte is actually Kristin?
A lot, I'd say. I mean, my life is very different, obviously, than hers. So like the specifics of my life are different, but the energetics are similar, obviously. It's hard to play a character for 25 years and even separate those things out at this point, I remember in the beginning they would ask me that, and it was easier in the beginning because, Charlotte was so myopically focused on getting married, and that was not me at all. So I could really separate us from that. But as she's grown and, gone through life and had her experience and her divorce and, kind of changed her, her perception of what's perfect, right? I can relate a lot more to that.
What's going to happen in season 2? I don't want you to spoil anything, but
so much.
Yeah, so much.
Charlotte really is like, she's obviously there for her friends and a lot's going on with them. And then also the children are off on different tangents, kind of, just like in life. And so she's trying to figure that out, like what she needs to do to be a good mom.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the reason why you guys relate to us so well, because, for many women out there with grown children, with a marriage, are trying to figure out the same thing. Who am I beyond being a mother or somebody's wife? No.
Yeah, it's a big issue. It's a very big issue.
It's a big issue.
I'm not anyone's wife, but I still deal with that. Like before we came back to work, I was like, wow, I'm just going to take them to school and pick them up forever.
Is there going to be a movie? Is there going to be a new movie? Do you know?
A new movie? Wow. Put it on out there. I love it. Let's go for it. I have no idea.
You have no idea.
It'd be fun. I love those movies. It was so great to shoot the films.
And you know what? Patricia Fields is back, which is so cool.
A little.
What?
Well, she's not back 100%. She's retired, basically. I mean, I don't want to give away her information, but she's doing something interesting and different that you will all know about soon. I don't want to give it away. She's not back like all the time for all of us. We have the wonderful Molly and Danny, who've been with us we've had Molly since the beginning, and we got Danny, I want to say season 2, something like that. So, we have a group, that has been with us the whole time.
Well, let me tell you something. I would do, and just like that, just to be dressed like you guys are dressed. It is so cool. That must be so much fun.
So spoiled in the best way. But yeah, it's a lot. They do a fantastic job for every single character.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kristin. Great talking to you.
Thank you. You too. You're wonderful. Thank you.
Hola. Hola. ¿Lo vamos a hacer en español?
No. Just
Solo un poquito. Just un poquito. It's great meeting you. I was just talking to Cynthia.
Oh.
I grew up with you girls. I think that, it's really special to have this conversation, because I think this is officially the first time we have an interview with you from Mexico, if I'm not wrong.
No, are you serious?
I swear. If you had given an interview, it would have been with me.
Yes, okay. So that's
it hasn't happened.
Never again. We'll make this an annual or biannual event.
Absolutely. So great talking to you. Thank you so much. Is Carrie, how much of Carrie is actually you?
Not as much as one might think, if anyone gives it thought. We look alike, we talk alike. We both live in New York. We both love New York. We both have friendships that are important to us, that are necessary. And we both hope to find contentment in this city. Everything else is different.
Everything else is different.
Everything. I mean, every life choice has been radically different than my own. I'm married. I'm with 3 children.
Yeah.
I dress differently. I spend my free time differently. I spend my money differently.
What are you telling me? That obviously we're going to talk about your shoes. You're telling me that you would not buy $800 Manolo Blahnik shoes?
No, probably not. I mean, I have, and I did, but I'm not a spender like that. I don't shop. I shop very, very, very rarely. If I shop, it's usually for thrift store items. I've, gone through periods where I shop more than others, typically when I was younger, and I have invested, it's how I met George Malcolmus originally, was because I loved and knew who Manolo was from 1983. But it's not the way I've chosen to spend my time, nor a huge significant amount of my energy. And that's not a judgment, that's just simply, yes, we're radically different. I'm typically different than every role I've played. And I understand that the lines get blurred, and there's no problem with that for me, leaning like it's not a burden. The association is wonderful and has been a huge source of joy in my life. But it's important when the time presents itself to point out, yes, we are in fact very different people.
So listen, Sex and the City, and obviously now and just like that, has been so groundbreaking for how honest and what an amazing representation of, female friendships and dating and sex and marriages. But for me, because that's one of my main topics on all my platforms, it is about women's empowerment.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that all of us saw us through, we would always say, I'm Carrie, I'm Charlotte, I'm Miranda, I'm Samantha. We would pick and choose, but I think it was, why do you think it was so important and so transcendent 25 years after?
I do recognize that the show was original in a lot of ways. And yes, we had really important female characters as leads in some of my most favorite shows, Mary Tyler Moore among them. But yeah. I think because we were on HBO, which is now Max, it allowed for the kind of frank and candid and intimate conversations that women were in fact having. They just hadn't been illustrated on the big or little screen. And they were often conversations that were about the ways in which they were intimate, but also the ways in which they wanted to be intimate, whether those were with friendships or male partners or female partners. And that was simply unheard of thus far. But I think it was also about, as Richard Plepler, our one-time boss, used to say, it's a journey about finding home. And what does home mean to you? And in home, you're looking for contentment, whether it's personal or professional. And those are nice, big thematic ideas in which to pursue stories, especially in a city as dynamic and dazzling as New York. And especially when you combine a character's love of fashion and you're bringing that color to a story. And especially when you're then putting that character with incredible, interesting women that are archetypal in some ways, but also have a lot of depth in other ways. And so I think all of that created something that felt new and fresh and had yet to be seen.
Of course. You know what? The other day I read something you said about something that has me personally exhausted, because sometimes when I post a picture, there's always a comment on my age. And I very proudly say that I'm 55. My mom says, why do you say your age nonstop? Well, I'm trying to, route for all the women, above 50 that feel fantastic and that feel like 25 in their soul. And I know that you're quite tired, of this ageism thing. So I need you to give a speech to all the women and men out there obsessed with age, or how a 50 or 55 or 58-year-old woman should wear her hair, her heels, how she should look, if she should do this and that. Because I'm on your team, girl.
I think women are simply interesting for their differences and for the similarities, for the love and desires that they share, and the ways in which they want to be different and individual. And the more we consider women not a monolithic conversation that has one answer, one way of living, being, looking, behaving, the better off we will be in lots of other areas of our life. We will be more interesting in conversation about literature, about politics, about education, about people that are different than us and people that are the same. Tolerance, love, compassion, curiosity, interest, and the need to not impose yourself in other people's lives about the choices they're making.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. So Aiden is back. How did that happen? How did that come about? I miss my love. That's the love of my life. That's my hall pass from my husband, Mr. Big, Mr. Big. So, but Aiden is back.
It came about very quickly. Michael Patrick, as he always does, came to me before the beginning of the season, before the writers had gathered, and pitched to me, as he always does, the larger ideas and themes of a new season. And we talked about Aiden, and I was excited primarily just because I love working with John Corbett, and because I think Aiden, and I know, is somebody who a large portion of the audience feels a huge amount of affection for. They love involving themselves in that relationship, and even when one or both members of the party are falling short of their promise and intentions, it's an interesting relationship to pursue and revisit, and it was, and that's all I'll say about it.
Well, I'm happy to see what's going to happen, because I remember you broke his heart. You broke his heart. Thank you so much. Great talking to you.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Sarah. Take care.
You. Likewise. See you around.